Hello YouTube! Once again, it's Latte Punch, back again for another Let's Read. This one's going to be slightly longer. It's called How to Annoy an Apple Farmer by Natura, a comedy slice of life starring Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash. I'll read the description and get to it. Rainbow and Scootaloo are closer than ever after Rainbow truly adopted her. She taught Scootaloo everything she knew and helped her persevere until she could fly almost as good as she can. There's one thing she has not taught Scootaloo yet. One thing she has treasured doing for years. The most sacred and amusing of acts. High above the pristine town of Ponyville stood an ornate cloud mansion. One that was currently owned by a certain Miss Dash, with her adopted daughter Scootaloo. After that one fateful night where Rainbow finally made Scootaloo her Scootaloo's dream come true with an adoption form and a massive smile, the two had been virtually inseparable. Even though Dash is technically Scootaloo's mother, and the bond between them had always been the bond only shared by truly close sisters. The duo did everything together. In fact, they grew up so close, Pinkie actually accused Rainbow of procuring a new best friend. After much explanation about how they were sisters, Pinkie still held the spot of best friend, and of course a party was thrown for some unknown reason, but it was still enjoyable. Anyway, Rainbow had taken to getting Scootaloo's stunt wings to grow so she could fly, and Scootaloo provided so much raw determination she actually did fly. The kinship between them kept growing until it was difficult to mention one and not the other. However, despite all these things Rainbow has done with Scootaloo, there was one thing she had forgotten. Something she had treasured doing over the past years. Something so enjoyable and amusing she wondered why she had neglected the activity for so long. This special talent of hers was obviously annoying Applejack. Self-proclaimed rainbow sisters both sat upon a white fluffy cloud that overlooked the entirety of the vast fields of sweet apple acres. Both had just arrived after Rainbow had said there was something so epically awesome to show her she couldn't wait any more. "So, Rainbow Dash, what are we doing here?" Scootaloo asked in a chipper voice, happy to be spending some even more quality time with her sister. "Scoots, you remember a long time ago I always used to sleep in her orchards?" Rainbow Dash said, facing to turn Scootaloo. "Yeah, Applejack used to get really mad at you," replied the ever-enthusiastic Scootaloo. "Well, we used to play a little game. I haven't done it in ages. Care to join me?" Rainbow Dash said, her mouth slowly curling into an evil yet stylish grin. Scootaloo couldn't help a small smile latch onto her face. She knew that look and could recognize it a mile away. That was Rainbow Dash's "I'm gonna prank very soon" face. And as Rainbow whispered the plan to her, the smile fell into a full-blown grin. You kinda have to pity the Apple family because of the evil plan. Apple Bloom gave a hard two-hooked buck to the tree directly behind her. The verdant green leaves shook as the red fruit fell perfectly into the baskets arranged around the trunk. Apple Bloom sighed as she undid the bow in her long mane to help release some of the built-up sweat from the hard day's work. As she relaxed and leaned against the tree trunk, her older sister came into view carrying baskets full of bushels filled with apples. "You feeling a bit tired?" Applejack chuckled as she watched her sister groan and stretch out her worn back muscles. "I suppose I can give you a break, being the little pony you are." Apple Bloom locked eyes with Applejack. "I ain't little any I ain't little. I'm almost as big as you, she said with a huff. Applejack chuckled. Her sister was always very defensive over her age, and it was too much fun to resist gently teasing her from time to time. Yeah, yeah, now you get to move on there, Missy. Still got more orchard to cover. Applejack replied in an enthusiastically live voice. Applejack merely rolled her eyes as the farm pony kept on walking. However, she soon turned around when she heard a gasp and a thud from behind her. There, wearing the face of pure evil, was Rainbow Dash, seemingly not noticing she had almost made Applejack steal her apples by popping out in front of her. Ah, gosh darn it, Rainbow, that was so close. Look where you gone, great clumsy oaf. Look where you're going, you great clumsy oaf, Applejack explained, recovering her balance. Oh, yeah, oops, Rainbow said, scratching the back of her head in a mock attempt to look innocent. Rainbow, it's got to see a bit me and Apple Bloom gotta. Oh, it's Apple Rainbow, it's good to see you, but me and Apple Bloom gotta. Applejack began, but was soon cut off from a voice from behind. No wonder you like this bow so much, Apple Bloom. Very soft and good quality too. Both apples wheeled around to see Schooloo with Apple Bloom's ribbon on her in her hooves. Hey, give it here. Give it back. Apple Bloom protested, lunging for the Pegasus, but Schooloo flew upwards, leaving Apple Bloom to get a faceful of dirt. Schooloo, give her it. Wait, where's my hat? Applejack said, missing the familiar weight of it on her head. Looking for something, AJ? Came a teasing voice from behind. Applejack already knew what was going down, but she was determined to get the upper hoop. She played it cool, slowly turning to find Rainbow wearing her hat in a victory pose. You know, it's a good look, boasted Rainbow, striking another pose while Schooloo snickered overhead. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but Applejack leapt toward the Pegasus in the middle of a sentence, hoping it would catch her out. Rainbow was too quick to be fooled by the maneuver, and she sidestepped, allowing the helpless Earth Pony to sail over her and get the same treatment her sister got. Moving her hat from the soil, Applejack casted a competitive but friendly gaze onto Rainbow Dash. She returned it straight back. Too slow there, Appleseed, she said, sticking her tongue out and racing off into the orchard, closely followed by Schooloo. After him! Applejack shouted, and both the apples gave chase in their orchard, leaving behind all the apples that now had spilled from Applejack's back. Oops. The Pegasus could easily outrun the pony, and the Pegasi could easily outrun the ponies, and Applejack found them pretending to be asleep on the trees because they were so slow. The fire of competition struck both their hearts as the apples doubled the speed to catch the Pegasi. Now the Rainbow Sisters actually had to try and avoid them, and all the winding trees. Not too soon later, the four burst from the orchard and onto the paths leading up to Ponyville. Despite the fact that the Pegasus had the speed advantage, the sheer endurance of the Earth ponies began to come into effect as they neared the town. As they entered the small, tranquil Ponyville marketplace, the whole area was thrown into chaos as Schooloo and Rainbow Dash flew complex patterns around the apples, mocking them all the while. Come on, AJ, I thought you were meant to be better athlete than me, Dash said with a wink as Applejack grounded her teeth. But she took solace in the face that she looked tired, and Schooloo was basically comatose in the air, while neither her nor her sister worked up much sweat from the run. She suddenly felt pride, despite all her bragging. She was finally going to be able to take down Dash. It had been too long. Her prediction came true as both Pegasi lagged more and more through the chase. Applejack leaned over to Applebloom. All right, tackle him on my signal, she said. Apple Bloom responded with a big smile. At least she's enjoying herself, thought Applejack. Alright, 1, 2, 3, Applejack exclaimed as both sisters leapt forward and grabbed the Pegasi who had their object. Both Pegasi and her ponies cartwheeled through the air, coming to a stop in a crumbled heap of limbs. Ow! Came the moan from Skulu's mouth as the mares disentangled themselves from each other. They dusted themselves off before looking at each other and bursting into laughter. "Oh man, we should totally do that again," exclaimed Rainbow, wiping off the tears of mirth with a hoof. "I agree, but maybe not again today," Applejack said as she and Apple Bloom both asphyxiated their items of clothing. "Yeah, it was really fun," said Apple Bloom and Skulu in unison. They looked at each other and burst out laughing again. "Ah, come here, everybody," said Applejack, enveloping enveloping all of them in a massive hug, as they all remembered how truly lucky they were to have friends like these. That was chapter 1. All the grammar mistakes you just heard were not on purpose. Those were by me. I'm sorry about that. Going to chapter 2, the Yule-log. The four mares disengaged from the hug with happy smiles gracing their faces. Looking around, Applejack could see how fatigued and worn out everyone was. The two younger mares looked like they might pass out from exhaustion, and Rainbow didn't seem to be in much better condition. "Come on, everyone, we better get back to the farm. I got some cider stored in the cellar we can have," Applejack said, straightening out and looking at the other three mares. "Brilliant idea, AJ," Rainbow Dash exclaimed, suddenly alert from face-eating grin on her face. Ugh. Suddenly alert with a face-eating grin on her muzzle. I'm sorry about that. Applejack shook her head, chuckling. The mare had way too much enthusiasm when it came to drinking cider. "Yeah, let's go. I could use a little rest," Apple Bloom said. Four began walking back to Ponyville. It really was an idealistic day. There was barely a cloud in sight, and it was warm without being overly humid. It being in the middle of the summer, nature was abundant. There were birds flying overhead, insects crawling in the bushes, and a wide selection of flora. But the picturesque landscape was shattered when Ponyville came into view. Skulu squinted, spotting the town first. "Hey guys, what's going down there?" she said, pointing at Hoof. Confused Applejack, Apple Bloom, and Rainbow Dash looked to where her hoof was pointing. Even from the distance they were from the town, they could see many ponies running, talking, and panicking. "Better see if they need any help," Rainbow Dash said, dashing away from the other mares. They gave chase, and soon the four made it to the entrance of town. What happened?" Applejack said in shock. Most of the market in Ponyville was in disarray. Almost all the stalls had been turned over and some were crushed. A large area of scaffolding had Scaffolding had toppled. The buildings gathered around it looked anyway but happy and cheerful. The builders gathered around it and looked anything but happy and cheerful. Sugar Cube Corner was relatively undamaged despite it being right in the middle of the chaos, but Discord was loving this. The mares, confused at what happened, continued on into the town. As they passed, they got into a lot of stairs, and could hear ponies muttering behind their backs, but going eerily quiet in front of them. Rainbow leaned over to Applejack. "Why are they looking at us like that? Like we just spat at a Celestia," she whispered in her ear. "I don't know. Just keep walking and we can find out what happened," Applejack replied. They walked until they ended up near Twilight's tree. Upon seeing it, all the mares' mouths fell open. The tree had a massive hole in it where a cart had smashed into it. The cart was almost torn in half, and debris was scattered across the road. "You!" A loud shout suddenly rang out from behind them. causing all four mares to jump and Rainbow to almost take off. Recognizing the voice of Twilight, Rainbow began to turn. Twilight, that was not cool. She trailed off after seeing the look on Twilight's face. Rainbow wouldn't be surprised if she got a sword and chased them around with it. She looked so angry. She literally had a small vents of steam coming from her ears, and a vein throbbing between below her eyes. Do you stupid featherbrains have any idea what you just did? She fumed, looking ready to kill. Rainbow stepped forward. What are you talking about? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the chase where you destroyed half of Ponyville? Twilight exclaimed irritably. Four Mare's eyes widened as they realized how stupid they had been. How could they not put the two together? Ah, Ponyvillers, Applejack sighed, while looking around to see Rarity's beak on fire, with a now blackened and charred Rarity striding toward them. She almost face hooped at that. And that's the end of the story. The end. Now we just use it. I hope you like to read. Sorry I made all those little mistakes, but you can read it without my mistakes on FIM Fanfiction. I'll leave a link in the description to their story if you want to read it there without all my word stumbles.